Hi, Facebook community.
Happy Sunday, family.
Heather and Maia here with Free to Be Healed on the One TV, the Worldwide United Network, the show that's a little over a month old, with the intention of going 24/7 live 365 days a year.
Every country, every topic, every thought form and theory bringing happiness and goodness to this world.
Yeah, the intention is to have content creators from all over the world spreading content to raise the vibration for the highest good of all. And we are so honored to be here with you today.
We are so excited.
Thanks for joining us. We have so graciously and so honored to be here, and we are going to have a show every second and fourth Sunday of the month.
5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. But soon it's going to be all the same time. It's not going to be so many numbers.
Yeah, 6 p.m. Arizona time, Mountain Standard Time, every second and fourth Sunday. So please continue to tune in. Tonight is our first show, episode 1 for Free to Be Healed. We're really excited. And tonight we're just going to do an intro of who we are, who Free to Be Healed, what we do, and what our intention is for coming to you live twice a month.
And then at the end of this 30-minute show, I'm going to read a blog that we put out this month. It was a collective channeling, just for some inspiration of what's happening now with
collectively what's going on for a lot of us, and see if it resonates with you as well.
We've gotten a lot of feedback that it deeply touches and resonates with people's truths. So we're hoping that it does with you as well.
Yeah, so let's just start off with a quick introduction of who we are and who we are as Free to Be Healed. So I'll start. My name is Heather Rose. Where do I start, right? So we have a practice, Free to Be Healed, and we each have come to this place differently. My background was in mental health and the medical field. I was in psychiatric nursing for 17 years.
17 years.
Really, really passionate about being of service and helping others. And all along throughout my career, different forms of showing up in nursing in different avenues. It was always a really big passion of mine of being able to help in ways that were outside of traditional methods.
The medical model.
Yeah, and there's nothing, I don't have any, there's no shame, no negativity towards the medical field. There's a time and a place. I still hold true to that. And I just feel like there are root causes to our symptoms. And in the medical field, we treat symptoms, which is necessary. And my passion and our passion coming together and creating this practice that we have is to really get underneath the symptoms and not just treat the symptoms, support the symptoms while getting underneath what they're asking for.
The feeling state of the needs, I'd say.
Yeah. And so that's a little bit of my background. I studied in metaphysics. I'm really passionate about mind, body, spirit healing, and really all things holistic, looking at the whole system, mind, body, spirit, and really with a focus on the nervous system and knowing that relates to everything that's going on in our whole system. So the holistic practice is looking at the whole system.
Yeah, and I would add that our practice really values modern medicine, Western, Eastern, and our aim is to bridge the gaps between modern medicine, holistic therapies, and even trauma therapies. To in our practice and our friends and our referral networks and our cohorts, just to have all the bases covered, because everything is important. Everybody has unique medicine.
Yeah, and I would add to that we are looking at a wellness model. So how to stay well and be well, and to have an intention or a focus on the potential rather than the problems. So there's, there's a lot of different ways that we bring that to Free to Be Healed. But like I said, it's a number of different modalities that we blend and different ways that we have come to this. But like I said, my personal passion was coming from the medical field and coming and transitioning into the holistic field to bridge the gaps between the two, to really create an entire whole wellness system and a whole wellness model.
I feel like that's a good place for me to interject, because
Yeah.
as you were saying, potential instead of problems. I kind of come from an opposite viewpoint, where I was a psychiatric patient for 17 years. Like really seeking and looking and hopeful for wellness, but caught up in struggling on a lot of truths that weren't mine, and labels that are meant to help, and medications and fragmentation and fear. And I would say I always had a center knowing that I wanted to be well, and I wanted to help people. And so I came to the holistic health field because I knew that I wanted to be healthy and I wanted to be a healer. And so I was studied a lot of energy techniques and got into Reiki about 15 years ago, and one by one added modalities that I wanted to offer to the world to give people a space without judgment, without labels or opinions, put into their space to be empowered for their true selves, to unfold into their freedom, basically. Yeah. And then as I have studied these wellness modalities, I have myself become more and more vibrant, empowered, and integrated. In fact, when I first started studying massage about 8 years ago, I could barely stand up at the table. And my parents, who generously supported me and my education model, they're like, "Are you sure that you want to be in this education field? Like, we love you and we're going to believe you and support you, but you can barely use your body and you can barely stand up." And so I know what it's like to be really weighed down and caught in some painful loops, and what it's like to crawl my way out of situations with just bare hands, climbing up mountains, and the feeling that I may very well be all alone in my unique way of being. And so Heather and I come together as Free to Be Healed, with me having the journey of being consumed in the illness model, and more integrating the potential that I'm not ill. I was never really ill. It's being empowered in my own unique creativity, being able to see out of that darkness and out of that trap that, like, I am one of many that wants to be happy, that wants to live, that's sensitive, and that there's a whole community in need globally for alternative options of healthcare, of perception, of ways of being.
Yeah, so that kind of brings us into how we came together. So like I said, I came from the medical field and really wanting to be able to help people in a way outside of the labels, outside of the symptoms, outside of the boxes that we tend to put ourselves in or get put in by others, societal, environmental, and maybe even with good intention, and just with the ignorance of not knowing a better way and just coming from a place of survival. So that brought me into the holistic education and continuing my education outside of the medical field and into the holistic field, studying metaphysics, and then coming to Arizona to continue a holistic psychology program at the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts.
If I can interject, Heather had an amazing lucid dream, which she will need to tell you about in another episode. It's like a whole episode.
We will maybe touch on that at some point, but yes, I followed my intuition is really what it came down to, is a part of my spiritual awakening, part of really get in touch with my truth and my intuition and my passion. It came to me in a dream that this path, my next career path, was here in Tempe, Arizona. And so on a leap of faith. I came here and continued my education and studied. I picked up the modalities of mind, body, spirit healing, energy work, body work, holistic counseling, holistic conscious communication and counseling. And that is where Maia and I met. So in my last class of my degree program,
4-year program,
and in the last class of her 4-year program,
she was in Arizona. I was in Santa Monica, Los Angeles, doing the same program in polarity and craniosacral.
Mm-hmm. So in our last class, where we were coming to completion in our individual education paths at that time, we met and we instantly had
stopped in our tracks. Really?
Yes.
I know her from all the lifetimes before.
Yeah, like it was an immediate soul recognition. Like we recognized each other really deeply on a soul level, and really hit it off and had a lot in common and shared so many of the same passions and so many of the same interests. And immediately we realized that we come from opposite spectrums. Elementally, first, I'm a Taurus, she's an Aquarius.
She's in the earth, I'm in the air.
Yeah. And then as our life, the way that our life happened. So we were sharing stories and it was like our timelines really matched up, but on the opposite side of the spectrum. So it was really a mirror, and we just knew that there was really something special there. And so we stayed in touch and had it developed into a long distance relationship.
As friends.
And then
romantic.
Yep. It transitioned into deeper and deeper relations and it becoming a romantic involvement. And we kind of put it out in the universe of like, whatever's supposed to be will be, practicing.
Whatever will be, will be.
And we, universe and spirit lined everything up for us and showed us the way. And, Maia moved here and we merged our practices. I had a private practice here. She had a practice in Santa Monica, and we came here, merged practices, and opened Free to Be Healed, a brick and mortar 3 years ago. So we've been in our office space and brick and mortar 3 years, and we're really excited.
We're excited about the journey and the developments, and the first years have been foundational, and this is really a year for expansion of all the dreams.
Yeah, and each year has been continued success and continued to thrive, and it's been a journey for sure, learning more and more about ourselves, growing and evolving as individuals, as a partnership, and as a business. So there's quite a few components there, and we've really been able to come together in a really strong way and support each other's visions, support each other's passions. And luckily for us, they are in alignment and very, very merged. And so that's what brings us to Free to Be Healed, of opening that, our passions coming together. And here at Free to Be Healed, we are a holistic therapy practice, and we have energy work, body work, conscious communication in the form of coaching and counseling, in addition to intuitive development, spiritual coaching, and kind of just bridging the gaps between all of that. None of those are separate. We often feel fragmented with that, but we come from a place of trying to have integration and blending these modalities together to meet that the fragmentation within ourselves, to provide integration.
Yeah, I was going to add that we do a beautiful job like interweaving naturally the different realms and paradigms, like the solid earth realm, the emotional realm, the spiritual realm, the color, the creative. We do different modalities. I do massage, you do time massage, polarity, cranial, dream interpretation, sound, oils, shamanic journeying, soul retrieval, ancestor stuff. It's like we're here to hold space for the sacred container of the empowerment of your journey, and we're always learning things.
Yeah.
Excited.
In addition to that, I would say, yes, beautifully said, Maya. And I think we have a really large focus of our practice on trauma and how that shows up, and knowing that trauma is subjective and how it shows up differently for everyone. And then we have an approach that uses the psychology of the body. So the way that the body holds on to unprocessed emotions. So in our practice, we feel that trauma, that's kind of a key word right now. But in our theory, we feel like trauma is anywhere in life that we've had an event that we didn't get to go through a full emotional process. And so anywhere that there's been emotion suppressed, they get kind of held or stored in the body and in the psyche, and how these two relate and create those loops that we were kind of touching on earlier. So with the approach of blending these modalities, we meet the client where they're at. So they come in, and clients don't have to know what modality they're coming in for or what exactly they need. They come in with what is up for them. What is their desired outcome? What are they really searching or seeking? And we meet that. And so we had mentioned the modalities that we use. We come from a framework theory behind polarity therapy and craniosacral therapy mainly, and then blend different other forms of energy work that Maia was mentioning, along with supplements and essential oils, sound, vibrational medicine, really anything that we can do to support the whole client system, with the focus on the nervous system, knowing that that's where the trauma is kind of being held and operated from.
Yeah, I would say focusing on the nervous system, knowing that's where the trauma is being held and kind of admitted and operated from,
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledging how that holding of trauma affects every other aspect of our life. If we're holding on to a wound, it affects our perception, it affects our energetic field, it affects our emotions, our digestions. And I also want to add to your subjective definition of trauma that we talk about like big T trauma and little T trauma. So big T trauma is like really big, acute, huge events that like change our whole life, and little T traumas are like small things that build up, and if are unresourced, can explode into larger situations.
And in different areas of life.
Exactly.
So we just look at the components of what's happening in the body, what's happening in the emotions, what's happening in the spiritual realm of connection or existence, and really just bringing those together. The point of the intention, or kind of the way that our work works, is really just with the blending of these modalities and holding the neutral supportive space for someone to reach their potential. It's opening up energetic pathways where these events, situations, emotions, things, if you will, are held. And when we open up that energetic pathway, we're trusting the innate intelligence of the body and of the soul, really, to really be able to put together the pieces of and to provide resolution and to provide integration, right? Integration, and allowing the client to reach their own truth outside of the labels, outside of the projections, outside of the conditions, the ways that we've been conditioned, outside of that, to reach their truth and ultimately their innate potential.
Joy and passion and feeling the subtleties of taste and the air on your skin and the vibrant colors.
And so that is why we've named our practice Free to Be Healed. We really truly believe that there is so much freedom to find healing, and we want to hold this space for people to do so.
And we like to play.
We love to play.
We love to play. So should we transition to the blog and then some sound?
Yeah, I'd like to talk just a little bit about our intention of this show.
Right.
So tonight was an intro of who we are and how we've come together, and who we are as Free to Be Healed, and what Free to Be Healed has to offer. But as far as this show goes, like I said, every second and fourth Sunday of the month, we're going to come to you. We've named the show Honoring the Human Experience to Create Space for the Soul's Knowing. That's kind of what we do as Free to Be Healed, as everything that we've been talking about. We all come here with a knowing and a soul desire and purpose, and we're
born connected to all knowledge
and to ourselves, right? And knowing our purpose here. And so oftentimes the human experience is about gaining those getting those conditions and getting the wounds so that we have lessons to learn. And oftentimes we will have like the knowing or the desires and passions and just not quite sure how to get there or not quite sure how to be in that. And we feel like the solution or the process really is about being able to honor the human experience, honor the pain and the sorrow,
and ups, and the downs, the messy, the beautiful,
the waves, right? And when we can create space for that, then we have space in our systems to integrate our soul's knowing, our higher self, and our truth. And so each segment we hold the intention to be able to share little pieces with you and little pieces of inspiration and bringing to you what's happening in the cosmos and the collectiveness to provide you tools and resources to be able to honor your human experience so that you can apply your soul's knowing.
We hope that every episode is a little bit of a soul bath, a rejuvenation and hope and passion and possibility. And we welcome your comments, your suggestions about what you would like us to talk about or explore. And with that, I'm going to read the blog that we put out earlier this week. It's a channeling of universal happenings. So you can give us feedback about what you think about it. It's called The Call to Come Home to Ourselves. We sit here at the entryway to a new portal of collective consciousness. Here, the dawning of the age of Aquarius is in full bloom, with a new bright lightness moving through and reaching in to illuminate the depths of our shadow. This stream of enlightenment is pushing out hidden figures and fears that have resided in the dark corners of shame and blame. It can be brutal letting go of stagnation and pushing to birth and transform the ooze of complacency and dissociation into empowerment and imagination. Widespread and chronic cultural fatigue is calling for us to pause, to rejuvenate, and to redefine what is possible. Take a moment to breathe. The call is to come home to ourselves, our capacity to love and to be loved. Ancestral healing is deep, with familial spirits so close to this earthly plane that their breath illuminates the end of the long winding path of confusion and separateness that we've all been on. The subtleties of knowing and honoring that we are connected and protected in a multidimensional community ushers us from this winding path into a grand heavenly auditorium where we are all together. Do you feel us in the auditorium? Simple and common symptoms like body pain, depression, and even anxiety start as a whisper and build up to screams and tantrums for us to listen to the call to come home. The call to love and be loved sings out in promise and celebration that we don't need to push ourselves so hard. We don't need to work ourselves to the bone out of fear and lack because of the ways that have been modeled for us. We have the choice to thrive instead of survive. We are detoxing as a culture with a flu season among us, featuring a virus strain that is long-lasting and lingering. This flu is here to kick butt and push the boundaries of who we are and who we thought we were into obsolescence. Whether or not you've been physically ill, how have you felt or been affected by this energetic purge? We are seeing a cosmic push to level up, not only in our own practice, our clinical practice, but in the world around us. This time, the time is now to claim our joy and to kindly open ourselves up to receiving. We do this, opening ourselves up to receiving, by reparenting ourselves with nurturing permission to live authentically from our hearts. So many of us are shattering like a fine crystal antique thrown and smashed against the brick wall of limitation and burnout. We are not just cracked open for the light of choice and perspective to come through, but we are ground down to fine dust and soil. By honoring our emotions and our needs, we add fluidity to this new earth material. With courageous faith in the goodness and potential in all things, we reach out to touch and mold this earth like clay. We're sculpting the new earth. This is the space and the material to redefine, to rewire, reprogram, restructure, and renew. Now is the time ripe and ready to hear and cheer our inventions and our unique expressions. We feel ourselves waking up again and again as each life cycle comes to completion and a new adventure, a new day, a new period of growing and sowing begins. What in you is calling out to come home?
Yeah, what in you is calling out to come home? And that brings us to near the end of our segment here today. So we're going to leave that with you to ponder, allow that to soak in. And any questions or feedback, feel free to leave it in the comments and we will definitely respond. We're going to close today's segment with a little bit of sound with the crystal bowl of the heart and the flute. Also, both are the frequency of the heart chakra. So bringing in a little bit of sound to you and unconditional love and
Do you want to explain the Gayatri?
Frequency. And then we are going to share a mantra. We're going to sing a mantra for you called the Gayatri mantra. And the Gayatri mantra is about bringing in balance and harmony of the dualities. And the promise of this mantra is to know that we always have within us the resource to make the right decision at the right time, allowing us to trust ourselves.
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Tatsaveturvarenyam
in health and freedom. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.